Mrs. Diamantopoulou, it's indeed an honor to be able to interview you today. The Institute for Cultural Diplomacy welcomes you. My first question would be, the European Union is now in a deep financial but also a crisis of trust. Do you think that cultural diplomacy could be a useful tool to overcome this crisis of trust?
I think that this crisis in Europe, it's, as you said, an economic, a financial one. It is a social crisis because we have a lot of problems in many countries. It has become a political crisis. We have changes of governments, we have elections, we have new parties, so it is a political crisis. But I am afraid that it is becoming a crisis of conflicts between the nations. And this is very dangerous, and we have to focus on policies to prevent it. So, what cultural diplomacy could do? I think that it is through cultural policy that we can bring nations and people next to each other. And I believe that this has not been the priority as it had to be. And I strongly believe that this very multinational approach, which means many cultures which come together, could help and give another dimension of European policy.
Thank you very much. My next question would be on the uprising extremism in Greece, but also everywhere in Europe. How do you think the European Union or the member states should react to that, and how can we make that people don't go into this extremist side?
Crisis creates tensions. Many and different kind of tensions, and in these cases we know that historically they are expressed by populism and extremism. And this is what happens in Greece. I mean, we have extreme right, we have extreme left, and on the top of all, it is the first time that we have Nazi party, which is really something that nobody could imagine in Greece. I don't believe that there is a particular policy. We cannot say that we can do that and we stop extremism. What I believe that we have to do is that to proceed at the European level with solidarity policies, of course, discipline and solidarity policies, in order to overcome the crisis, because the economic problem is in the core of this extremism. And what Europe has done until now, it is too little too late. So we have to be more decisive and more clear and more quick in order to have results.
Thank you very much. I'm going to pass the microphone to my colleague.
And Ms. Diamantopoulou, I'm also honored to be speaking to you again today. And I would love to have a conversation about the extremism in Greece, but unfortunately we don't have the time and it's not the place. Maybe later we'll have the chance. However, let me go to a question that you also mentioned that right now, but also to your lecture before, that Europe has not been using cultural diplomacy as much as they should have. And you also mentioned the example about the Erasmus program before. I would just like to ask, why is that? Is there, we don't understand that cultural diplomacy is so important?
It is a very difficult question, and this is because there is an inherent conflict between national sovereignty and European integration. And this has been always the problem, because European Union is a union of nations with different history, different language, religion, traditions, culture, so there are so many differences. And in the past, these had been the source of conflicts. Now what we wanted to do is to be a source of wealth and source of prosperity. Until now, in the treaty, the culture policy and the education policy is strictly a national responsibility. Until now, there was no intervention on cultural issues from the European Union. So what I believe now, it is the time not to create a European culture, but to create a European identity. And This means that I, as a Greek, know and understand the Spanish culture, the German culture. The German young people who is coming and visiting Greece knows the food, knows the traditions, has a feeling of the language. So these things can be treated in a different way. And this is why I've made some proposals. I've made 5 different proposals concerning the European institutions, but I will focus on the one which is the cultural portal. And this could be a portal where young creators, filmmakers, singers, groups, etc., could present their job, their work there, and then there could be a way to bring them together and to create European groups, European orchestras, European films, and having all these cultural events together.
That's very nice to hear, and it's nice for Berlin, with so much happening here right now. Well, my next question is, many things have come out of the conversation. It's quite general. I would just like you to comment on the weaknesses of cultural diplomacy, if you see some specific weaknesses on cultural diplomacy as a field, as a tool.
Oh, it is something more than that. I don't believe that we have an established cultural diplomacy.
It's a quite new field.
Yes, it's a new field. It is based more on private and volunteer activities, and less in well-organized public or European activities. So there are many weaknesses because there is not an established policy. If we start with that, I believe that we can see big differences in a few years.
And I hope that the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy can help in that. That's what we're trying to do, I guess.
Very much. I believe that now it is the time that you can really present a project at the European level. And it could be really interesting in the middle of the crisis to have a proposal that nobody believes that it could come up, because everybody speaks about euro, about banks, about debt, about budget, and the word culture, theater, art, young people's time never comes in the public discussion.
So, we'll try to do it. It's already helped to have you here. Maybe you can help us more. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.